Hello，大家好。还没有人在看吗？大家好。刚才前不久刚刚看完那么今天的逃逸实验，龙飞船的逃逸实验，看到了那个大烟花。那么现在就是等一下他们NASA 举办的时候的总结新闻发布会，反正就听一下。我觉得我应该是反正这种新闻发布会，我觉得我一般都是没有能力直接进行听译并且同时翻译的。提要点吧，我基本还是想自己听一听。然后现在也没有什么特别多的新的消息出来。这次天气比较差啊，所以说虽然看了各种航天摄影师都非常激动的去带了各种器材，到了卡角，但其实结果看来还是没有拿到什么好照片。天气实在是有点差，能见度比较低，又有云。估计直播的画面就是我能看到最好的那个009号爆炸的画面了。那么这里还有一些画面是，这应该是残存的部件重新坠海的时候的二次爆炸，就是隐约可以看到，其实可以看到这是海面，那可能是二级啊。我们当时直播的时候也看到，就是说009号解体之后，其实有一靠上的部分好像是就完整的飞出去了。现在我们推测就是说二级可能解体的过程中，二级甚至就完全幸存了下来。这我看到一个比较大的二级坠海的画面。应该还有其他的，那个在20，这是截的图，对，这张图看就是在海面上有一个小的爆炸，这应该就是推测就是二级重新坠海的时候的一个爆炸画面。看看这是各种航天摄影师这么激动的跑过去，但没拿到好的画面。我们这里有一张不错的画面，这画面不知道是什么角度看到的，这是下方的驳船吗？这个非常下方啊，这可能说不定是船上的画面。这个也是截图，另外好像就没什么特别好的画面了。我就是来等一下他们的发布会，现在还有差不多时间到了，看看他们说点什么吧。时间到了。应该主要还是想听一下，就是他们之后的计划的时间表，应该这是一个比较重点的内容。嗯，其他也没有什么太大的想法。我估计就是轮番祝贺成功之类的。这是 Super Cool Radar Detect Super 3D。咦，这个还是不错的。你看啊，雷达测到的一个近乎3D 的画面吧。这个好像是怎么讲？你看这里是雷达嘛，然后这里是一个3维的建模的一个画面。还行，他说是 Radar detects SpaceX in flight for test in 3D。咦，John Miller，他拍到了一些东西。哦，这个画面很珍贵。你看到吗？这里应该是019号刚刚熄火的时候，同时也可以看到那个 那么龙飞船刚刚点燃引擎，这里有一个类似的画面，他也抓到了，他应该是在拍视频，应该是用红外拍的视频。这可以看到，就是说这里应该是 Super Draco 引擎刚刚启动的时候，看就是说那个龙飞船还连在那个猎鹰9号上面，可以看到尾焰还是亮的，但是尾焰的长度比那个正常来说那个猎鹰9号的尾焰应该是长度2倍，说明它其实正在熄火当中。那么你说它的加速度一旦减弱到就这个时候它加速应该有个比较显著的减弱了，那么它这个反应确实是非常快，这边尾焰一变小，就是说它加速一旦小出预期值，就说比正常值低出不少的，估计有一个预罚值吧，一低呢它就这边就把龙飞船逃生系统就启动了。这张照片蛮好的，待会可以发一下。其他就没什么，其他就是正常的发射器画面。还没开始吗？看看消息啊。还有什么新的吗？这张画面是不错。哦，他们还是拍到不错的画面的。The Space Flight Now， 哦，可以的，可以，这个画面相当可以。没有全军覆没哈，这里还是有比较好的画面的，真的是在云的夹缝里面。这边也有一张，还是有一些的，可以，还是有一些。我想象的好，这个这张图太火，这个我感觉是直播的截图吧？这张应该是拍摄，这个不知道在哪儿拍的。应该是从雷达上看的那个猎鹰9号的散布碎片落区。这里是对，依然是那个猎鹰9号这次的碎片坠落区。这个他们手机拍的，Pico 3拍的。掉毛的一个手机就可以解决问题。这个云真是太过分了。哥们，你调整一下角度啊！手机就能拍的，我以为一个 Pixel 2，这个是截图，稍微调整一下角度，但是，这应该又是碎片坠海了，这是离多远？天，好远！离得有点远。怎么还不开始啊？我可是在录像呢。 快开始吧！唉，可我还提早3分钟打开直播了。没有下载。天哪！把录像关了，重新再录一次。现在开始再录吧。 哇，哼，看来我们在等，是2分钟前的。对啊，离那个下一批训练只剩48个小，哦，只剩48个小时了，天呐，天呐，OMG。唉，我他妈蛋！ 没办法，只能等吧。还好啦，我们是坐在这里屏幕前面等，还有人在现场等，我比他们怎么要等的舒服一点。开始，我要去倒杯水算了。哎，果断去倒水，希望不会这么粗糙吧。还没开始。这么慢的。啊，要开始，要开始。老马也在哦，老马也在。那不是应该已经开始了吗 ？10 seconds。有延迟吗？这是？那10分钟前说他9分钟前，哦，开始了，开始，还是有延迟。OK， 今天的画面，我操。OK， 开始，开始。
My name is Bettina Klein. I'm with NASA Communications, and welcome to this post-launch press conference.
好，各位好，看到现在收看的是 NASA 这次空中逃逸实验之后的总结飞行员发布会。
We have some great guests who will provide some remarks. First will be Jim Bridenstine, NASA Administrator, Elon Musk,
NASA 主管
Chief Engineer at SpaceX,
我们的老马好高兴。
Program Manager for
我看老马的笑容。
Program at NASA. And astronauts Mike Hopkins and Victor Glover.
那么两位宇航员
as I mentioned, opening remarks, and then we'll open it to questions from both the members.
这两位宇航员好像不是
via the
不
phone
是加
and
乘坐
also
的地方。
social media. You can ask your questions on social media by using the hashtag #AskNasa. With that, let's kick it off with Administrator.
有即将乘坐龙飞船的两位宇航员应该不是这两位。
Another amazing milestone
Jim 讲话。
is complete for
一
our
个重要的新的里程碑
very
完成
soon
了
to。be project, which is launching
很
American
快就要会
astronauts on
进
American
入
rockets from
那
American
么真正的
soil
载人
for the
的
first time since the retirement of the
载人
space
的项目
shuttles.
启动。
We're very grateful. Congratulations to SpaceX and the entire
我
NASA
们很
team
感激，
on
也
this final
恭喜
major flight
拍了一下
milestone
老
that
马
we needed to accomplish. Make no mistake, there's a lot left to do. We have
这
a
是一个
number
最后一
of
个重要的
parachute tests
里程
upcoming,
碑。
and of course we
当然还有很多事情要做。
this particular test, and so
他还要做
we're
降落
not
伞
quite
测试
there
啊。
yet, but
那么
by
这次的
all
数据
accounts,
也要
this
好好
was a
分
very
析。
successful test.
那么
And
但
when we
是
think
总体来
about
说，这次
what
是
we
一个
have
非常
done
成
so
功
far
的
with
实验。
Crew Dragon, we've had a pad abort test that was successful. We've had now a
那
high
么总结
altitude
一
abort
下，
test that has
那
been
么之前有
successful.
过发射
On
台
demo
上
one,
的
we launched,
逃逸实
we
验，
controlled the
现在
spacecraft,
空中
we
逃逸
docked to the International Space Station,
空
we
中
undocked,
非常
and
高
then
高
we
度的
had
逃逸
entry,
实验。
descent, and landing. So this is a program that is moving forward
也有过
very
一
fast.
次那么演示实验和空间站对接，还有各种降落伞测试等等。
My strongest congratulations to the NASA team, which has been amazing,
个人
and of course the SpaceX team, which has also been amazing. So
个人
congratulations to everybody
最
involved, and I'll turn it over
个人
to
最高的感谢
All right,
对
well,
NASA 的
let's see,
团
I'd
队
like
和
to
空差的团队。
likewise, just to express great appreciation and admiration for the SpaceX and NASA teams that made this happen. Without a lot of dedicated people at SpaceX and NASA, this would not have happened. So it's
那么
just
还是对
thank
团
you
队
for
的
your
致
hard
谢
work
，NASA 的
and
致谢和 SpaceX
dedication
团队的致
to
谢。
achieving this the success of this mission. There's I think a few points that are kind of exciting to note. That the peak velocity of the of Dragon's report was more than double the speed of sound. It went to Mach 2.2. And achieved an altitude of 40 kilometers
那么
or
在分离之前
130,000
就说
feet,
是的速度，火箭速度是2个马赫。
I think these are pretty exciting.
最后的高度达到了，
specs,
就说龙飞船的高度达到40多，
gone more than 3 times the
分离高度
altitude
14公里，还是说最后的高度是40公里？
and and to accelerate that rapidly away from a booster. And I think if you saw in the video, the booster
非常
actually
迅速的离开
as
火
expected.
箭。
So that was very exciting. And
火箭舰体呢也是爆炸了，
it
和预
landed
期当中一样。
relatively high winds at the ocean level, which I think helps us envelope the mission for when it is crewed, since we expect this to be sort of an enveloping condition for the
那么海面的
winds
风也
at
很
sea
大，
level at
浪
the
也比较
recovery
大
site,，
那么这也
for
算是一个
when
比较好的
crews are launched.
预演。
So overall, as far as we can tell thus far, it is a picture-perfect mission.
还是说是分离的位置难度比较大，回收的时候的难度也不小。
A reflection of the dedication of the hard work of the SpaceX NASA teams to achieve this goal.
这是 NASA 和 SpaceX 团队努力的结果。
It's really great.
Great.
And
It's really great.
yeah, we're looking forward to the next step, and I think we'll talk more about next steps in as
也
we
非
get further
常
into
期
comments.
待接下来的步骤，我们待会儿也会讲更多
And
之后的后续步骤
I'm，super fired up too. This is really exciting.
很激动。
As we talked about when we all got together, gosh, was it a couple of days ago? We said this was going to be an exciting test.
几天前他们在这里说过，这是一次会是一次非常令人激动的
and
测试。
exciting at the same time, but I think you guys saw today that it was a very exciting test.
确实是一次非常令
I'm
人
also super
激
proud
动
of。the team. I
也
really
好，炸
appreciate
火
the
箭
comments
还有人
from
比
Jim and
这更令人激动
Elon.
的。
Not only was it a NASA SpaceX team, it was a multi-agency, the FAA, the Air Force,
那
the
不仅是
jet,
NASA 和
everybody's
SpaceX，还有
out there,
FAA 和空军
made
的
sure
辅
that
助
we
机
had
的，
imagery
就说
assets
是多
and
个
the
机构
ability to
的
be able to
合
accomplish
作
this。mission. And honestly, folks are out there right now recovering the spacecraft, which is going to be very, very critical for us. We're super
包括
excited
现在
that
正在海面
it all
上
went
把
well. We talked
飞船
about
捞
needing
回来
to
的团
thread
队
the needle
也是很
with
重
all
要，
the
非常
weather.
重要。
and we did have to
天
thread the
气
needle. In fact, the
很
needle was getting
天气有个很大的阻
the
力，
head,
但是
the eye was getting
还是发生
smaller and smaller and smaller, and all this will be good data for us and for our crews that will be flying soon. So.
那么这次所采集到的数据等等都会是对之后的真正的载人项目非常重要。
Looking forward to the next steps.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. Wow, what a day.
轮到你。
Yeah, I also want to say it's very exciting to see this, and it's great to get to this major test milestone. We appreciate certainly all of the hard work that the NASA and the SpaceX teams and everybody else that made this event happen. As crew members, our families, you can imagine, we're
真的是
very
这
interested
两
in
位
these
是要
escape
做
systems
接下来
and how
的
well they work.
DM2 的吗
And？so we're going to be following very closely as the data comes in, and we continue to analyze it and see what that means. And in fact, the work is ongoing, as was mentioned. The
反
recovery
正
operations.
除了这些之外呢，
Bob and Doug, the
还说
DMT crew, are actually taking this
还好
opportunity to
后续工作
follow
还
those
要研究
operations
这次
and
采集的数
see
据
what they can learn from
很期待
that.
会之后会有什
This
么
is one of the
发
first
现。
time, or one of the only times they'll have an opportunity to see those operations when it's not them. So again, congratulations, and we look forward to the next steps as well.
And since my comments are the only thing between us and your questions, I'll keep it brief. First, to our families that are out there watching, a lot of them were very interested in this test for obvious reasons, and so far what we've seen is what we expected.
他们
So
家
that's the
人
first
对
one.
这次实验
And
都
then
非常
to
感
you
兴
all, the
趣，
team that has helped make
因为
this
这是
happen,
事关
SpaceX,
他们的安
NASA,
全
the Air Force, and all of the folks who worked so hard to get us to this point, from the crew, but also from our families. We want to say thank you.
不仅感
Well,
谢
thank you, everyone. We're going to
顺
now
便
take
感谢一下自己的
questions
家
from
人
the。media. We'll take a few questions here, and then we'll go to those that are have
那
called
主要
in
看来
from
就是
the
问答
media.
环节，
With
后面
that,
也没有
we'll
什么
start
太多
some
信息要
questions.
说，我们就直接进入问答环节吧。
Marcia Dunn, Associated Press. Elon, Kathy told us the other day that you could carry crew as soon as March. Is that feasible, and when do you think the crew launch might be?
Well, we were just talking about this in the green room, and my guess is the first question that will be asked is
他们刚才还在
so we-
猜
we-
第一个
we
问题会
agreed
是什
on-
么，
on,
果然是这个问题，
response.
就
So
是
collectively, this is not
后续的时间步骤。
and
时间表。
the hardware necessary for the first crewed launch, we believe will be ready by the end of February. However, there's still
那么
a
硬
lot
件
of
准备
work
就绪应
once
该
the
是
hardware is
2月
ready
底。
to just cross check everything, triple check, quadruple check.
那么之后还有很多检查和测试。
Until this, every stone has been turned over 3 or 4 times. And
直到每个细节都能被检查很多
and
遍
there's
之后
also，the schedule for getting to space station. So because
那么之后
space
才
station,
会
a lot
安
of
排
work is going to it, so what's the
安
right
排
time
场
for
地。
this? And the
看来
sort of collective wisdom at this point is that we think we're highly confident the hardware will be ready in Q1, most likely end of February, but no later than March, and that we think it appears probable that the first crewed launch would occur in the second quarter.
啊，这个推的好厉害。那反正说第一季度，
assessment.
硬件能够准备完毕，那么真正载人项目希望是在
Do we want
第二季度
that。first crew to be a short duration, or do we want it to be a longer duration? If it's going to be a longer duration, then we have to have some additional training for our astronauts to actually be prepared to do things on the International Space Station that we
他们
weren't
甚至还
planning
没有
to
决
have
定，
that
就是
initial
说
test crew necessarily
他
do.
们还没决定，就是这次
So we've
下一
gotta
次
look
的
at
载人
that,
项目会是让
and
宇航
make
员
a
在太空中停留
determination.
短期还是
Do we
长
want
期
that？first crew to be longer duration, or do we want them to be a quick turnaround?
如果
And those
是
are-
长
those
期的
are
话，那么还
decisions
需
that
要
we're gonna be
对
making
宇
in
航
the
员做一
coming
些
weeks.
额外的训练。
But as Elon said, there's a lot of just we have to understand all of the data. This was a test. It looked
反正现在就
beautiful.
说还没确定，
We
还
all
要
loved
看这次的
watching
数
it,
据。
but now the work begins.
那么之
for
后在
evaluating everything that
龙飞船硬件准备就绪之后，还有各种检查。老板都说第二季度希望能这样，说不定要推到6月份。
Looks at picture perfect, at least as far as we've seen thus far. But we need to physically recover the spacecraft and and confirm that there's not something that not an issue that perhaps didn't show up on telemetry. Yeah.
OK， 反正是从现在看各方面都是很顺利的，那么还要把飞船捞回来之后看上面的信息记录，有没有如果视频上没有看到内容。
I guess for Elon and Jim, and I wonder if you chose this as the second question in your betting pool. If you could talk about how profound it would be and what it would mean to restore human spaceflight from U.S. soil. It seems like we're at a real turning point, and it's just that closer. What that would mean from both SpaceX perspective and from NASA's. Thank you.
意义上来讲，
I'll let you go, Elon.
对空差和 NASA 的能够实现美国自主载人的意义是怎么样？深刻的影响。
I think United States is very much a nation of explorers, a distillation of the human spirit of exploration, and it's obviously something that appeals to people with who have an adventurous. Anyone who has an adventurous bone in their body is going to be very excited about this, and I think it will help reinvigorate interest in space. It's remarkable to think that the last time that a crewed launch vehicle departed from the United States was, I believe, 2011 or thereabouts. So
这个就是激起美国的太空爱好者的热情吧。
Really profound to have that. It's kind of to be back in the saddle again.
那么也是空超的一个主要目的之一嘛，激起大家对太空的热情。那当然，这扯到是美国的载人的话，就尤其就是对美国的太空爱好者来说是意义深远。
I would say certainly we are 100%. We are a nation of explorers. We're also a nation that leads, and this, of course, represents us returning American astronauts to space on American rockets from American soil. So this is a great opportunity for us to once again lead. And this time when we lead, we're doing it differently than we've ever done it before.
宣布美国重回领先的地位嘛。
We're going to be one customer of many customers, and we want Elon to have lots of customers.
我们希望
but we also want to have
空超会有很多的顾
we
客。
need dissimilar redundancy. You guys have heard me say this. I'm going to keep saying it. We've had days in this country where we lost a space shuttle and our space program was down for a period of years at a time. We need to make sure that we have redundancy in a way that
不过他依然要重申，他需要有载人项目的荣誉性。
resupply to the International Space Station.
言下之意就是说，不光是 SpaceX， 还是希望有
we can continue to move forward because we have other solution sets to accomplish the objective.
就是说，一旦说一个方案出现了各种问题的时候呢，还有备用的方案。
I want to see large amounts of capital flowing into activities that include humans in space. And those activities could be industrialized biomedicine, it could be advanced materials, it could be people that want to go to space for tourism purposes. But I will tell you this, there is a future where space is commercialized. And I also want to be clear that NASA will always have a presence in low Earth orbit. We are not, there's a lot of we are only on the beginning of what we're going to learn. So, what does that mean? That means NASA is going to be
NASA 一直会扮演一个重要角色，
we just want to make sure there are customers that are not just NASA. That drives down our costs. It increases our
首先 NASA 肯定会是一个重要的客户，当然也希望 NASA 不是唯一的客户。希望呢，空船能把它的太空门槛和价格降下来之后呢，有各种各样的更多的客户和更活跃的太空将来。
Hi, Lauren Gresh with The Verge. The explosion that happened today with the Falcon 9 looked really cool, but I'm curious to know what would happen if an explosion like that occurred while the Crew Dragon was still attached. The Crew Dragon was quite a bit away when it occurred, but is there any concern about that happening?
这次是猎鹰9号爆炸是在是在载龙已经离开一级之后。如果说是在还在没有离开之前就爆炸了。
Or after stage explosion that is there that happens when basically even before the escape event. So it's intended to be very robust in principle.
那么是说，那么即使是在触发逃逸之前爆炸的话，依然是
less of an explosion than it is fire. So it's a fireball, but it's much more fireable than it is an overpressure event like an explosion. Since the spacecraft has a very powerful base heat shield and even leeward side heat shield, it should be really not significantly affected by a fireball.
那么这个爆炸主要来说的话是一个火球，而不是有太大的一个压强的问题。
So that's obviously we want to avoid doing that.
就是不是一个过大压的冲击波。
But it is really meant to be something that can fly out of the fireball.
反正说。飞船本来就有很好的绝热系统，火球不是一个太大问题。
What was done, say, during the Apollo era, the fact that the launch board system is integrated with the spacecraft, with the Super Draco thrusters in the sidewall, means that you have launch board capability all the way to orbit. And whereas previously with the launch escape tower, that because it's so heavy, that is discarded often just 20 or 30% of the time into flight. So shortly, not long after.
就说是对龙飞船这个设计是把逃逸系统和飞船整合了，而不是一个独立的逃逸塔。逃逸塔因为很重，一般来说的话就是在半空，就是飞了20%-30%的时候就会放弃掉。像龙飞船这样的话，那么就是那么全程当中一直保留了一个逃逸的能力。
To eject the launch escape tower, I think, is also an improvement in safety. So I think those two are significant steps in the right direction. There's also an improved ability for reusability, since you're not throwing away the launch escape tower. You retain the launch.
同时也是提高了一个可回收率的角度讲，因为你不是每次都把逃逸塔扔掉这样，而是
the launch escape system with every flight, because it should hopefully be very rare that the escape.
毕竟就是说需要逃逸的时候，应该还是蛮少。
Those 3 points are.
那第一个就说是。我们说能够对火球的应对能力，还有第二点是，和飞船整合之后，保证了一个全程的逃逸能力，和第三点是，不用每次都把逃逸塔扔掉，逃逸部件扔掉。
The boats that we are using to catch the fairing, once that is really well established, to catch Dragon as it's coming in from orbit, and then that would alleviate some of the constraints around a water landing. But that's obviously there's some time before making that happen, and we obviously need to recover fairings reliably before we would consider trying to catch the Dragon.
是还有这个意思。那么没有看到还有这个战略思想里面。那么整流罩的回收，那么空察一直在做嘛，它也是作为一个将来想空中捕捉龙飞船的一个想法。
Recognizing when the launch vehicle is having a problem, so that the abort system's working, right? So we've spent a lot of time together talking about, how does the spacecraft monitor the launch vehicle and then make sure that it's going to abort before it starts getting into those situations.
那么他再补充一点，他们花了很多时间来研究，那么怎样让龙飞船来监测火箭的工作状况，来确保就是说它能够判断及时的判断有异常情况发生，在真正的火箭爆炸之前就能够脱离。虽然说认为说是能够经受这个火球，但是还是希望就是说不要去做这个挑战，就能尽早脱离最好。这里也是补充和老马说的一样，就是说，那么好处就是说他们从起飞到对接全程当中都有一个逃逸的能力，但它的缺点呢，就是说开发这个系统难度非常高。因为之前从来没有人这么做过，那么就是说他们有很好的一个非常有创造力的伙伴，就是空差吧。也设计这么一个全新系统，也导致之前对吧，确实有曲折嘛。 就去年4月份的那个
this spacecraft knows
金海电火
precisely
爆
where
炸
it。is in space. Latitude, when I say space, I don't mean outer space. I just mean in space in general. Latitude, longitude, altitude, yaw, pitch, roll, trajectory, velocity. It constantly knows where it's supposed to be, and it knows what's happening to it. And so it can make a determination early, before the
那么还
explosion were
是
to
补
happen,
充刚才那位女士说的， 那么龙飞
execute the
船
launch abort
是
capability.
实时在监测
I think
火箭的各种
we're-
高度
I
啊、
think we're
速
where
度
we need to be,
角度
but
各
it hasn't
种
been without pain.
操作的控制，
And
所以
going
它应该是
forward,
能
we're
够
going
提
to
前
be
预
better.
判能不能出现紧急状况。
Joey, second row.
对，刚才老马说的这点，就说以后打算用回收船在就说空中接球的方式捕捉龙飞船。现在整流罩的回收其实是一个预演练习吧。
second stage, how badly damaged was it when it hit the ocean? And have you? There was a pretty tall plume of smoke, so I don't know. And for future Crew Dragon missions, have you signed up any private astronaut missions yet? Does this test kind of push forward any agreements with that? And for Bridenstine, similarly, have you signed up any international partners? And
那么首先是评价一下，他评论一下，就是刚才2级吨在海面上砸到海面上再次爆炸的画面很壮观。
If you saw something, there was a sort of object that was sort of falling. We think that's most likely the thrust structure of the first stage propulsion section, which is extra robust and has the engines in it. But that is going to hit the water hard and then be somewhere down at the bottom of the ocean. So we're not expecting to recover anything. In general, we would not expect to recover anything in a launch abort scenario.
就是没有不打算回收任何部件，不可能。最坚固的什么引擎相关的一个部件，可能还是会完整的状态砸到海面上。但是第二个部分问题就是说，会不会有商业的太空旅游进度？老马就说了，无可奉告，意味深长。
We have no shortage of partners that are wanting to have access to space, and this is going to give not just us but them additional access to space. We don't have any agreements at this point to ride on these vehicles, although we're going to have, the International Space Station, we've got 15 nations that operate it. We've had astronauts from 19 different nations, and we anticipate those partnerships all to go forward. And of course, they're going to be very excited about riding on a Falcon rocket and in a Crew Dragon.
反正 NASA Jim 的意思就是说，他们会帮助SpaceX 扩展他们的客户，包括各个国家的宇航员。但这里他的意思也没有仅限于宇航员，就是说跟所有跟国际空间站合作的都有包括。
Early, but were you pleased with how the Mark III parachutes performed today? And then with whatever testing that you still have ahead for the parachutes, what are you still hoping to determine?
评价一下这次的降落伞表现如何，然后将来的降落伞测试还希望测试什么东西？
Upgraded what we call our Mark III chute design.
今天是 Mark III 版本的。
Doing a tremendous amount of testing over this last 6 months. I mean, and really perfected the design, did a system level test in December, did another system level test obviously today in a pretty stressing environment, and then we're working together to get a new set of flight chutes and do 2 more system level tests prior to
还要做2次系统
next Crew
降落伞测试。
Working through that with SpaceX and looking forward to further learning and hopefully, smooth parachute functioning on the next 2 system level tests. But we're very, very happy. If you saw it today, flawless execution of both the drogues and the mains, and both of those were the new system.
I would say from NASA's perspective, we are so grateful to SpaceX for stepping up to the plate in a major way to move forward with the Mark III parachutes. There was a time we looked at the safety factor from a Mark II to Mark III. Mark II was good. Mark III was way better. Elon and I had a conversation. I said, look, if we want to move forward quickly, let's go with the Mark III, and let's get as much testing as we can possibly get done between now and the day we launch Crew. And they move forward very quickly. I don't know how many tests you've done at this point, but it's a lot with single shoots. And now we're up to the point where we're doing full system level tests with all 4 shoots. And so far they're looking good. So we're
Jim 都已经记不清楚这一个版本的降落伞做过几次测试了，从单个降落伞的大概测试到全系统的测试。反正他的意思是说，之前的跟老马商量结果就是说，打算换这个 Mark 3这一代，反正就说，能在更短的时间里面能试几次是几次，在6个月的时间里面。
From a NASA perspective, so really great partnership across the NASA.
我们还是表扬一下 SpaceX 的效率，就是说在这次降落伞跟换代之后，在短短6个月时间里面就进行了这么多测试啊，就效率非常高。
Hello everybody, congratulations on the test today. I just wanted to ask if we could get some understanding of what the next couple months look like from an analysis perspective. How many people at NASA are going to be working on certifying the Dragon and the Starliner eventually? For the crewed flight tests, and how does that compare to the experience during the COTS program?
那么就说接下来几个月里面的大概是这个怎么样的部署，会有多少人在NASA 的人员在这方面工作，核定龙飞船的资格。
It's consistent between obviously cargo and crew. What's different is that
它是说货运和载人的区别的角度来讲
certification requirements for crew are different. So
那么载人的标准
I think even though we have a
核定标准要
program
不一样
standpoint, I think we're probably about 2 to 3 times the amount of NASA folks that are working crew versus cargo, the certification aspect.
说两个都是一个相对比较小的团队，但是载人的团队要比货运的要2-3倍的人员。
Making sure the vehicle could safely dock with station. For crew, obviously, we need to make sure we're certifying the ground systems, the operations, the launch vehicle, and the spacecraft. So obviously, that's kind of 4 times the amount of work that you had to do for cargo.
就是货运的话，主要的话就是要
要
看着就是和飞船和空间的对接，而载人的话，地面啊、辅助设施和监控飞船和火箭状况都需要人员。是的。
My questions for Elon: Does this in-flight abort test have any applications for programs beyond commercial crews, specifically for Starship? And also, does somebody have the exact wind speed at the recovery site? Thank you.
Okay.
I don't think this
it's not directly relevant to Starship, as we do not expect to use.
并不是直接相关的。那么，因为新舰不打算用降落伞系统。
The only reason Starship is happening is because of the progress made with. Essentially all the work done by NASA and others before SpaceX even started, and support that we've received after starting, without which Starship would not be possible.
没有 NASA 的那个就是新舰的启动也不会，也不是可能。
Wind speed touchdown. Wind speed touchdown, I believe was I think around 25 to 30 feet per second.
Wind speed at touchdown was 27 knots.
Yeah, 27 knots. Yeah.
Feet per second. Sorry, 27 feet per second. Yeah. 17. Yeah. 20. Yeah. 20
I'm sorry,
20 knot. That would have been.
落海速度是
Sorry.
27
It was oscillating, but it's sort of in the high 20s. Yeah.
13 to 18 knots, and I think we got like.
But it provides a good envelope in case for crewed missions.
Yeah.
这个技术细节没有听清楚啊，不好意思。听不见。
You were beaming, and so I really want to hear from you what it was like. Where did you watch from? Was it the control room? Was any of your family with you? And what did you learn?
So Yeah, we were in the firing room.
你们当时在哪儿观看？
You see a rocket
然后
launch
你们学到
is
什么？
very exciting.
那
And
家人有什
obviously
么
the
想法？
significance of this particular launch and the test.
任何
was
火箭
something
的观看
that
都是
we
很
were
令人激动
particularly
这
interested
次
in, and to
尤
see
其
that.
是那样。
Our families were not here with us. They were back home, but
我们的家人没有和我们在一起，在自己的家里。他收到老婆的短信。
So they're obviously very interested in it as well, and again, every time I'm out here, this is just a special place, and when you get to see these rockets launch, it just gives you goosebumps, and I'm getting goosebumps again right now.
任何一次看火箭发射都是一个鸡皮疙瘩的经历。
My wife also was in touch via text message, and learning that happened today, or maybe relearning,
和他的妻子也是在
or
短
adding
信
more context to the fact that we have
联
an
系
amazing team
这次
working
任
through
务
the
当
issues
中。
with the weather. And making sure that the vehicle, both Falcon and Dragon, were ready to launch. It was just impressive to be on the loops and listen to them disposition all of those things and make sure that we would have a test at all. So just getting to the point where we could launch, it was impressive to be there amongst the folks making it happen.
反正就是在团队当中等待这种感觉，听着他们各种播报蛮有意思的。我估计他也是等了2个半小时，不知道发了多少短信。
Great test, well done. What would be the reason for the splashdown being earlier than expected on the timeline?
这个问题说为什么那个坠海的时间比那个预定的要早了1分钟？
I thought it was pretty much right on target for what we were expecting.
他们觉得是差不多完全准时。
Go back and look at the data, but right now it's looking like things were pretty nominal.
反正从数据上看是正常的，主要是他们之前发出的预告片是说是10分钟落海，还有就是他们的发射手册也是说10分钟左右。 这是9分10几秒的时候落海的。
Rosenstein with Talking Space. So I know a lot of the focus is obviously going to be on the data from the Crew Dragon, but I was also wondering how much data you were able to get after the breakup of the first stage, and if there's any plans to use that data for possible future mission parameters for crew or for range or anything like that.
We lost telemetry on the first stage shortly after it exploded.
他说你本来说1级上回收来的东西有多大，有多少用处，对吧？我的1级。
The vehicle that could possibly change design or engineering in the future of it.
It's possible, but it's too early to say at this point.
Gotcha.
现在太晚。反正就说1级是，本来说能不能研究一下1级，这次拿到数据上说这是1级我们丧失，丢失了1级。
Hi, I'm Jim Siegel. I'm with NASA Tech, and I have a couple of questions. Well, actually, one question, I suppose, for the 2 astronauts. I understand you went through kind of a dress rehearsal on Friday, so you got a chance to get into the capsule while it was atop the rocket. And I'm interested in what kinds of activities that you did while you were doing this. So what systems did you check out? Did you eat? Did you take a nap? What did you do?
就问那个上周五他们做的一个非加注的一个演习，就是他们进去了那个龙飞船嘛，问他们做什么。
listening to a weather brief and then getting handed over to SpaceX at the suit up room, and so they were then able to don their suits and go through that full process of checking the suits.
等待听他天气报告，然后决定演习开始，然后再那么进入宇航服，
over to the launch pad itself.
反正就前往发射场，
and then going up onto the tower and walking out
从
on the crew
发射
arm.
塔上
They did
进
not
去。
actually get into the vehicle because the vehicle wasn't in a configuration for them to get strapped in or anything, and so that was the point.
但他们并没有进入龙飞船内部。 因为龙飞船内部的龙飞船内部的设置还是不是一个，就是说，
And I think there was a lot of lessons learned that came out of it, and people are making adjustments as necessary based on what we saw.
然后估计是等了一会儿，然后回来了。反正就是各种，主要是跟一种演习性质的东西吧。这每次龙飞船我也看到直播画面当中，类似是一个被剥掉的情况，所以他们并没有进入龙飞船内部演习的时候。
I'm wondering from NASA's side why that hasn't been decided yet this close to a particular launch, especially with the U.S. crew segment reducing down in size in 3 months. And from SpaceX's perspective, is there anything that would have to be done to the capsule at this point, depending on what that decision is?
那么 Jim 之前说还没决定是做一个短期还是长期的太空滞留，就 DM2 的任务，就为什么还没决定？
We would launch, DM2 as a short duration test flight, and then we would have an operational flight test later with our 2 astronauts here, and they would do a long duration flight. So that's one solution, and that's where things stand.
方案之一的话就是说，先做一个 DM2 的话，先做一个短的滞留任务，之后下一回再做一个更长期的。
With having basically, we'll be able to maintain a larger presence of astronauts on the space station for a longer period of time. So there's another competing interest here, and in order to make that happen, that first crew for DM1, the test flight would need to be that crew would need to go through some additional training for a longer duration flight to do activities on the International Space Station. It also gives us opportunities to do extravehicular activities that may not right now be scheduled, but may pop up based on things that happen on the ISS. And it's always better to have more crew on board for those activities rather than less. If we end up with 1 American on the International Space Station, then that American will be doing the EVA. And we want to make sure that we give us the best chance of success. Now, I'm not saying that this is the direction we're going to go. We just haven't decided yet.
看来就说从基本的方案来讲的话，就是一次短期的发射，并且让宇航员在太空中滞留比较短的时间。但是看来 NASA 的想法是希望把它变成一个更长期的滞留，但是他说了一些益处嘛。
Whatever decision is made that we can support either.
空差反正就说，无论是 NASA 想怎么做，都反正就表示支持。对 NASA 对空差来说是没什么区别的。
Have a longer duration mission really over the last 6-7 months. Been working with SpaceX. Just like Jim said, you always need to have options when you're dealing with these types of missions.
总是希望把选项开放。反正就是说，看来 NASA 意思说，如果能够把它变成一个长期的任务的话，那么他们同的就是说，捞到更大的益处吧。
Yeah, I'm wondering if that impacts reusability. Do you get fewer flights out of a Crew Dragon in that scenario, or is that to be determined?
所以这种逃逸会不会影响它的可回收性，就是说复用次数？
A lot of thought and, of course, support from NASA to refly a Dragon that went through an abort. Hopefully this is such a rare event that the circumstance never.
并没有太多想这个问题，因为就是说，因为逃逸这个事情应该是很少见，所以说逃逸之后还能不能进行复用，会有多大损伤，他们并没有想过太多这方面。
On a Soyuz rocket just a year ago. He was up around 6.5, almost 7 G on that ballistic reentry. Now he was at a much higher altitude, but this entire launch abort sequence that we just saw, the highest G state was about 3.5 Gs, and then when it was coming back, we're looking at like 2.3 G, which is that's impressive. It looked like it would have been maybe a rough ride, but the data didn't bear that out. And I think that gives our astronauts some confidence that the ride might not be so bad if we have to execute one of these launch abort capabilities.
就反正就评价一下吧，就是说之前的 Soyuz 就是说联盟号的那次紧急的空中逃逸的时候，那么宇航员体验了一个超过6个 G 的加速度嘛。而这次的话，他们观测到上升过程中最大加速是3.5个 G， 回来落下的时候是2到3个 G， 所以总体来说是宇航员是比较不是特别难受的。2-3个 G 其实是比还不到比较牛逼的过山车的水平。
Stephen Clark from Spaceflight Now. Can someone update us on the condition of the spacecraft after the splashdown? Have the recovery teams got to it? Is it on the boat yet?
那么现在有什么回收船的更新吗？看手机。What？ 没有啊。
Seats from Russia to get through the year or into next year, or is that still ongoing?
So at this point, as much
现在跟
confidence as we
俄
have
罗
in
斯
the
之间
team,
的
I think it's probably not
座位定
prudent to
就暂定座位的问
to
题。
go that direction. I think it's important that we have options. Again, we want to increase our option space and make sure that
那么
the
他们还
International
是应该
Space
会
Station has
向联盟号
continuous
订
American
购座位，
presence. And so
就
we're not
18%
ready to
选项
make
开
any
放。
adjustments on that front. We're going to buy another Soyuz seat.
对他们还会买一次联盟号的座位，反正就是保持选项的开放。
Looking to see if I'd received an update, but I think the recovery vessel is just securing it right now, so we do not have additional information at this time.
就说飞船还没捞上来，它正在捞。
Congratulations, Robin from Supercluster. Have you flown the Dragon simulator in Hawthorne, and have you tried on the suit multiple times?
I've tried.
你穿过他们的你们自己的宇航服吗？
I've tried on the helmet.
好吧，他只戴过头盔。
simulator several times.
然后玩过他们的模拟器。
I'll tell you,
看他没有穿过全套的宇航服。
I nailed it first time, and of course every time since. I did.
I know.
他说他第一次就成功，说是玩那个模拟器嘛。基本上吹牛逼啊，就是说也不是吹牛逼，就是说他第一次玩那个模拟的时候就成功了。
So it's it's actually very much slower than people realize. So I think it's not very difficult to dock with the space station because it is approaching very slowly and you have very fine controls. In fact, you can adjust between sort of course correction.
他说和国际空间站之间对接其实比很多人想象这个过程要慢得多，所以其实并不是特别难。
Have sort of nuanced effects or like broad brushstroke, fine brushstroke, and I think it's pretty straightforward to dock in light of that.
并不是特别难的一个过程。你刚刚吹牛逼，你就别给别人泼冷水。
For pretty much anyone who can answer it, Elon, Kathy,
Jim,
the exact sequence of events today. It was kind of hard to tell actually when we're seeing the feed, and of course from the press site we just saw a cloud. Was it an engine shutdown was the initial trigger, and then did the Dragon's was the actual abort sequence? Was it the Dragon was triggered to abort, and then the engines shut down after that? And then or was it like the shutdown of the engines, and then the sequence of events was actually
这个问题我都能回答。
to figure out, and of course we didn't really see much.
就是说是先关引擎呢，还是龙飞船判断之后再飞呢，还是说是就是哪个先后的问题？就是龙飞船逃走先还是关引擎先？
What occurs in the course of about 700 milliseconds? It's really way more than a human could do is occurring in a fraction of a second.
那就说是关闭引擎之后是700毫秒之后就有了那个龙飞船的逃逸启动，就是远超人类的反应速度。
Then presses up very rapidly. The Super Dracos are ignited.
这个我们待会可以看照片了，说以照片发出去。
From the upper stage. But all of this is occurring in literally a split second.
那老马反正给了一个更准确的数字啊，就说是109号的一级引擎熄火启动700毫秒之后就有了龙飞船逃逸，是非常快的一个反应。
It controls via differential thrust of the 8 Super Draco engines, and so it's making those thrust adjustments at the almost the millisecond level. It's very, very fast.
And then the engines were shut down after that. So yeah. Then the launch vehicle, the first stage engines were all shut down at that stage.
之后才会有那个一级引擎的完全熄火。
Because the engine shut down, that inherently triggered the abort, or was that all pre-planned and hard sequence basically?
As part of the abort sequence, like if the system detects that there's the things are severe enough to initiate an abort. In this case, we set the abort triggers to be super low, such that they would occur at a very specific sort of velocity. As part of the abort sequence, one of the things that's done is issue a command to the engines to shut down. But you don't wait for them to get fully shut down. You issue command shutdown, and then you pressurize the abort system, the Super Draco abort system, and a lot of these things are happening in parallel. So you're not waiting for one thing to occur after another. A lot of them are occurring in parallel. But it's saying shut down main engines, cut thrust, and then pressurize the abort system, and fire up the abort system. Dracos. It's capable of working even if one of the Super Dracos does not. So it's got engine out capability on the abort system, and then it's going, you know.
So the
听上去好像是预设的，
the goal is to get as much separation from the booster as possible as soon as possible. And what we saw is we got some data on this initially. It was correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like a kilometer of distance between a mile of distance between the booster and the Dragon, and it was just in a matter of seconds.
对目标来说是希望龙飞船和一级尽快拉开距离。在一级爆炸的时候，他们已经有1.6公里的距离。
Would be the case that the booster engines continued firing after shutdown command. Dragon has enough thrust to accelerate away from the booster very rapidly.
解释就是说，即使一级没有正常熄火，还在加速，那么龙飞船依然能够拉开足够的距离。只是说这次的逃逸出发是预设的嘛？
Well, again, I'll just reiterate today was a very important day for us in the test program, and I think for all of the astronauts, we're very excited at what we've seen at this point. We look forward to seeing the rest of the results. And we look forward to our continuing preparations for Doug and Bob to launch, and then after that for Victor and I to go up. So we're excited where we are right now. We're excited to continue training, to finish up the testing, and get ready for launch.
Well said. Important step on a long journey, and we're looking forward to the data analysis and learning more about the test today and the recovery efforts. Like I said, those are still going on, and yeah, we're grateful for all the hard work to get here.
依然是致谢，依然是期待之后的正式的任务和后续的数据分析。看就是总结到这里了，看大家有什么问题啊？刚才其实他们有问到，就是说那个回收回来的龙飞船以后会不会用？那么这次回收回来的龙飞船应该是不会再用了。那么因为老马也之前说了嘛，就是说是像这种说逃逸事件是一个不应该常用的一个事情嘛。刚刚有人问，就是说逃逸过的龙飞船之后重复使用，会不会有复用上有什么样的讲究嘛？就是他有没有多想这个问题，他们有没有做多余的设计？反正收回来再看，但应该来说是这次是不会重复用这枚飞船，肯定还是拆解装做数据。然后虽然说龙飞船是一个设计做可重复使用的吧，但是他们并没有针对这种逃逸这种少见的情况进行针对设计，所以一旦逃逸发生之后，很有可能就是龙飞船不能再复用，我觉得应该是完全可能的。毕竟逃逸这种事情是应该就是极少见的。那么还有就是说龙飞船的，那刚才说到一个比较有意思点，就是我们也吐槽到，就是原来那么 Space 战略规划上还是有设计的，想到就是说现在练整流罩的高空接球实验练习，对吧？如果能搞那个练熟练的话，那么他们以后可能会转型用网这些东西来空中接龙飞船。就是刚刚有问说重量上的东西，对吧？重量上区别当然是很大，但主要来说就是说这个接不接住的问题啊。强度说真的还是好解决，关键是说你这个准度先提升上来。那么我觉得把网的强度提升的话，真不是很大的问题。因为龙飞船虽然重一点嘛，但是它还是靠降落伞降下来的话，最后没有什么速度其实那个重量不是什么问题啊，主要还是精准的问题能解决。 那么对，差不多就是好，总归是终于看完了这次的他们的事后的总结发布会。那么这个视频我也会上传，就到这里吧。那么接下来就是比较期待的就是礼拜2的新年发射了，好像还没有看到他们静态点火的消息啊，不知道会不会搁。总归有的话，能发射的话，到时候我们再看吧。应该是中午的发射，主要是中午的发射后应该没有办法做直播，那么就可能会做一个晚一点的录播吧。总归到时候再看吧。那么这次就到这里啊，那么大家下次再见吧。终于看到了这次等待已久的6月9号的大烟花，也听完了他们的事后发布会。那么这一次就到这里，谢谢大家。关录像。那么直播也就到这里吧，大家国内的各位小伙伴、老伙伴晚安。Bye, signing out.